Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel Moxie DIY in Java. I'm Michelle. Today's video is all about gingerbread, so grab your cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and join me. This DIY is going to be super easy. I wasn't a fan of the red gingerbread on this Dollar Tree pillowcase, so I'm just going to give it a glow up and turn it brown, and then I'll go over the details with my white paint and my glittered puff paint. Now, when you're painting curves, for me at least, it's easier for me to press the paint into those curves, just like this, versus making lots of small little dabs at it. I find that it makes a cleaner line for the curved areas. You probably already noticed this, but make sure that if you decide to paint these pillowcases, that you do put something between the layers to protect the back, because they are pretty thin. The brown paint is now dry, and I'm going to use my detail paintbrush that I got from the Dollar Tree and white paint and just go over the details of his face and body. And it actually worked out pretty well. The paint covered all of the red, but I was still able to see the details that were on him previously, so I could just copy those. Now the white has dried, and I'm going to go over it with my puff paint. Now circles are pretty easy. You can pretty much just make a little blob of the puff paint, but lines can sometimes be a little difficult, so I'm going to give you a little hack here. You're going to touch down onto your fabric and then lift up slightly so that you're hovering above the fabric while pressing the puff paint on, and that is going to give you much cleaner lines versus dragging the tip on your fabric. And this is actually something that I used to do when I was a cookier, so you can do the same thing with icing. To start this DIY, we're going to take these two arrow signs and remove the hangers. Now these are attached with staples, so we're going to use a sanding block and just sand all the rough parts. Now I've already done this on one side, and I'm just going to show you how I do it on this other side. And I will be using not only wood glue, but also brad nails as well. Be sure to stop by the playlist this compilation video is going to be a part of. It's the homemade Gingy DIYs hosted by Sarah of Jujubee DIY and Jackie of Crafting in Mimi's World. Both these women are ladies I consider friends, and they are so talented. So I will have their channels linked down below, as well as the playlist. While the glue is still wet, I'm going to insert the brad nails and then let everything dry. Once it is, I'm going to use this Waverly Antique Wax for only the fronts of our now houses. And then on the inside and the tiers of the tray, we're going to paint it with a really nice creamy white color. And I get that by using white paint with a couple drops of brown. Once I have all the big parts painted, I'm now going to paint the edges of our houses. And to keep it kind of nicer looking, I'm going to use the side of my brush and also do a flicking motion where I go from the back of the piece and flick forwards. I hope that makes sense. And this is, for me at least, has been an easier way to get a cleaner edge without having to use tape. Now that everything is dry, we're going to use these decals that I got from Walmart. So I picked out my favorite houses and we're going to use Mod Podge to apply it because they are window decals. They're not going to stick to the wood by themselves, so they need a little help. So we're going to apply a thin layer of Mod Podge, let them dry completely, and then we'll move on. Now that everything is dry, I'm going to tack those overhangs with my nail file. I love this one. It comes from the Dollar Tree. It's in a pack of 2, and I think it's called the Diamond Nail File. And it's one of my favorites for small projects like these. One of the final steps is to seal everything with this satin clear spray paint. Now I don't show it in the video, but I felt like the house needed a little something, so I took my puff paint and added some snowfall to the windows and the roofs. To start this DIY, I painted this mini terracotta pot brown, and I also created a ball out of some craft clay by Crayola. And all we're going to do is paint everything brown. I was inspired to make these from one of our hosts today, Sarah of Jujubee DIY. I will link the Instagram post where she featured one of her own little Gingy shelf sitters, and this is my take on it. So I hope you like it, and go check out Sarah if you haven't already. All I'm going to do now is just embellish our boy's shirt with my white paint marker. Now this is the one from Dollar Tree. It's my favorite. It goes on so smooth and it's really, really good coverage. So what I'm doing is I'm making curly Q S's going front and curly Q backwards S's. And then I'm also using dots and dashes and just whatever looks right to me. Next, we're going to create his arms and legs, and these are beads that are from the Walmart set of, I think it was like 180 beads and some baker's twine. So we're going to use this darning needle. I love to use this whenever I'm making garlands or using beads, and it just helps make it a little easier to thread them on. So I'm going to use 2 large beads and 1 small bead for his arms and hands, and then for his legs I'm going to use 3 large beads and 1 small bead. Now I also made a gingerbread girl, and I follow the exact same steps with her that I do with him. Now that everything is beaded, we're going to make simple knots on the ends where the smallest beads are. And this is just going to help keep everything on this twine. And to give it a little bit more security, I'm going to put some hot glue right above that knot and then push the smallest bead into that glue. Now we're going to attach his arms, and we're going to place the loose ends of the twine through the hole of the terracotta pot, but we don't want to pull the string too hard because we want to save enough room for his head, and also so that way his arms can hang at his sides. So there's probably about a ½ inch of twine at the top. Here I'm tying a simple knot, and then I'm going to top it off with some hot glue and scrap paper to lock it in place. Now for his legs, I'm making mine to be shelf sitters, so I want their legs to dangle. So I'm allowing a little bit of extra twine at the base of his shirt. So that's what I'm doing. If you don't want it to be a shelf sitter and you just want the legs to stick out, you can pull the twine a little tighter. And once again, I'm putting a bead of glue where the twine is, and I'm going to lock it in place with some scrap paper. Now moving on to his face, I'm going to do a combination of the white paint marker that I used earlier and a black Sharpie. And the reason I do this is that it creates a little bit more dimension to his face. I'm just doing eyes and a mouth, but to me I think it kind of makes his features pop a little more. Now we're making his bow tie, and I create the girl's bow the exact same way. We're going to make a tube out of the ribbon, and this ribbon I got from the Dollar Tree. Because the ribbon is so thin, the glue, when you press down hard while it's still hot, actually connects both sides of the ribbon, which is perfect for what we want. Now to create the look of the bow, I'm almost making the top of a heart, essentially, and then I flip the ribbon over and I do the exact same thing on the other side, making sure that the two middles kind of meet up. And it ends up making a really cute looking bow tie for him and a hair bow for her. If you've been liking what you've been seeing so far, I hope that you'll consider giving my video a thumbs up and also subscribing to my channel. It's free and I have a lot of fun with my subscribers and I love talking to all of you. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. I am so thankful that you're here. Now before we put on his bow, we need to give him a collar. So I'm just going to use this puff paint and go all around the base of his neck. To make his hair, I'm going to use the same puff paint and literally just glob it on. And I want it to look like icing. So I make it go down in certain areas and swoop in other areas, just whatever's pleasing to my eye. Then to create the eyelashes on him, I just take my Sharpie and I almost continue the bottom of the circle and flick out. And here he is. Isn't he so dapper? I love it. And then this is his little lady, and I did the same thing with her hair, and as you can see, her ribbon is the same as his bow tie. And I used yarn to create the little bows on her shoulders and just embellished her dress the way I thought a little girl gingerbread would. I found this set at Joann's last year at the after Christmas sale and it was 90% off, so I paid around $2 for it, and I love the Nutcracker. I was a ballerina when I was younger and danced in the Nutcracker for many years, and so the Nutcracker holds a very special place in my heart. But I am not a very good painter, especially when it comes to small things, so I was racking my brain trying to think of how I was going to pull this off, and it came to me, make them gingerbread figures. So I painted each and every one of them brown, and I did a dry brush of white on top to make it look like powdered sugar. This is the gingerbread craft kit from the Dollar Tree, and in it you get 5 kits to make little gingerbread men. And we're going to use 2 of them to create a front and back to our primitive gingerbread man. Now, as you can see, there is a blank side and a side that has Greenbrier written on the back. That is going to be the inside. So we are going to paint the front side that has no text on it. And to do that, we're going to use brown paint and this little dauber sponge. And basically what we're going for here is the look of old fabric. My dauber is mostly dry and I am just pouncing on some of this paint again just to create some texture to the felt. Now time to stuff him. First we're going to pre-stuff his arms because those are really hard to get the stuffing into. So all we're going to do is pre-position some batting and glue that down. Now we're going to glue around the edge of the rest of him, but we're going to leave the bottom part open so we can stuff the rest of him. Any glue that has seeped out, I go through with my scissors and cut off. Now we're going to stuff his legs the same way I did with his arms. We're going to pre-position some batting, glue it down, and then glue around it. I hope that you are enjoying these DIYs I'm making today, and if you are, please consider subscribing to my channel or liking this video. My subscribers are my favorite people, and I always enjoy talking to you in the comments. So if you are a new subscriber, please be sure to let us know. And if you are a part of the Moxie family already, be sure to say hi in the comments also. Most cotton fabrics allow you to tear them, and that is my goal today. So we're going to use this fabric to create little mufflers for our gingerbread man. And to do that, you just make a little snip, just like that, and then tear. Oh my gosh, these guys are adorable. I can't wait to use them as bowl filler. And here we are at final looks. I would love to know which one is your favorite. Now I realize these are a compilation from several other DIYs, but I hope that you still found some inspiration. I appreciate so much that you spent your time with me. And until I see you in the next video, take care.